There have been a lot of good seasons in NASCAR's history. Most people can remember good times like the 1992 season, when three drivers battled to hell and back en route to arguably the greatest championship finale in Cup Series history. The 1998 season when Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin absolutely obliterated the field throughout the entire year with a combined 20 wins in 33 races. And also the 2014 season, which is considered by many to be the greatest of the chase/playoffs era. Did you notice something though? Something odd about some of those seasons? Yeah, all of them happen to be the Cup Series. No, I'm not saying the Xfinity nor Truck Series have always had bad seasons. Many fans argue that the lower tiers always beat out the top tier because of the amount of competition that goes on, with the mixtures of old veterans who are just riding it out before calling it quits, a bunch of young guns who are potentially the next superstars of the sport, and those who may unfortunately be underfunded and are sort of stuck from attempting the highest or higher tiers. Having all that makes things super interesting every year, and that's what we've got with Xfinity and trucks. However, there's one year in particular that fascinated me so much with how many freaking things happened, no matter if it was during silly season or during the races themselves. Funny enough, it was a very recent season, so most people should recognize it immediately. Going back 3 years down the line, this is a look back at what I believe is a NASCAR season that many don't talk about as much now, and it feels super underappreciated. Introducing the 2019 NASCAR Xfinity Series season, where a lower tier series finally had some form of winning parity with its own full-time drivers, and where many current and young Cup Series drivers clashed in a year of history, progress, and close density.
As he looks to the inside, trying to take the lead away as they go into two.
Allmendinger tries to throw the block into two, and Cindric will force the issue. Reddick that'll get the fender out in front. Side by side into two.
Trying to take away that top spot.
Gee, I think that not.
Reddick not letting him get away.
Whoa.
Haley made a big move.
Didn't take long. And around
His rear bumper in the center, 3 and 4.
Heading into the year, there were many moves, whether it was a retirement or someone new coming into the series. We will start off with those that are leaving in some capacity. Longtime veteran Elliott Sadler would retire from full-time competition after 8 years of falling short of the championship, including 4 times when he finished runner-up. His number 1 car would be taken by another veteran, Michael Annett, and Annett's original number 5 ride would become a part-time ride. After scoring his first career victory and then immediately being suspended for violating the substance abuse policy, Spencer Gallagher chose to move on to more of a leadership role at his father's GMS racing organization. Rookie John-Hunter Nemechek would become the new driver of the number 23 car after running part-time in both Xfinity and trucks the previous year. Due to a lack of sponsorship, Ryan Reed was sent to free agency as Roush Fenway Racing would shut down their Xfinity program. He would eventually land a ride, but not in the Xfinity Series, rather a one-off in the Truck Series. Along with this, Ty Majeski chose to go back to super late models after a painful year in the number 60 car. Although initially prepared to take on a full-time ride with JD Motorsports, just a few weeks before Daytona, Blake Cook made the decision to focus on his current business Filter Time, being replaced by Ross Chastain. Speaking of Chastain, outside of the quote-unquote drivers leaving category, he was originally slated to drive the number 42 car full-time for Chip Ganassi Racing after showing a lot of promise in 2018, including a win at Las Vegas. Unfortunately, a fiasco involving main sponsor DC Solar would prevent him from getting the opportunity. Thus explains the JD Motorsports ride. However, he will also be running part-time for Kaulig Racing in some races, so keep him in mind as we go over 2019. Now, it's time to look at those who must be recognized so that this season can be discussed straightforward. Starting off with the defending champion, sophomore Tyler Reddick. With 3 years of truck experience and 2 years of Xfinity experience, one being full-time, along with a swap from Junior Motorsports to Richard Childress Racing, Reddick will most certainly be one of, if not the top contender for the championship, and he'll have to do it alone at RCR. Speaking of alone, that will be the same case for sophomore Austin Cindric at Team Penske, as he'll have to carry the team after a very bumpy full-time campaign in 2018, driving in both Roush's number 60 car and Penske's number 22 car. At Junior Motorsports, there's 3 full-time drivers, veterans Justin Allgaier and Michael Annett, and a rookie by the name of Noah Gragson. Allgaier has ran the series for 8 years, with a 3-year break to go full-time in Cup, and only 3 of those 8 years being with Junior Motorsports, and has yet to win the title after so many tries. Annett has basically been the team's midfield driver for a couple of years, and Gragson is coming off much solid experience with Kyle Busch Motorsports in the trucks, along with a lot of promise in each of the K&N series, which are now obviously Arkham Menard Series West and East. Then there's Stewart-Haas Racing with the 2018 championship runner-up Cole Custer, who has shown a ton of consistency in his number 00 car, and rookie Chase Briscoe, who brings in a terrific personality and a lot of pedigree from his one full-time year in trucks, and managing to score a win despite the awful luck of the number 60 car. Over on the Toyota side, Joe Gibbs Racing is a very interesting team of drivers to say the least. In the number 20 car is Christopher Bell, a driver who is considered one of the next big rising stars based on his lower tier success. He won 7 races as an Xfinity rookie in 2018 and was called the man for the championship, but of course he just had to finish poorly in the one race final round. Over in the number 19 car is Brandon Jones, who after 3 years of racing full-time in the series, is arguably the most unpopular driver in regards to the fan base, and at the time, is considered a likely bust. His 2018 campaign wasn't absolutely abysmal, but for a JGR car, it wasn't pretty. With 2 full-time drivers, the number 18 car would get a mixture of young guns, including Riley Herbst and Harrison Burton. And of course, the Buschwacker himself, and no, he is certainly not a young gun, Kyle Busch. Besides all those teams and drivers, there's a couple of underdogs to consider, including Jeremy Clements, Ryan Sieg, and Brendan Brown, who are all in the driver and team owner category. Then there's Kaulig Racing, who have 3 years of Xfinity Series experience. After disappointing performances by Blake Cook and Ryan Truex, it's now time for things to turn around, as rookie Justin Haley looks to take his surprising luck from the trucks to the cars. There will also be 2 part-time cars, as Ross Chastain will look to find redemption, and Cup Series veteran AJ Allmendinger is moving down to find some success after years of mediocrity in the top series. After that, there's a whole plethora of random young guns, underdogs, and underfunded teams. Cue names like Gray Galding, Ray Black Jr., Josh Williams, Garrett Smithley, etc. Some other drivers to also remember as we move forward in this discussion include Jeffrey Earnhardt, Zane Smith, Jeb Burton, Landon Castle, and Bailey Curry. Don't forget that NASCAR's most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be making a one-off run at Darlington, and favorite underdog, at least at the time, Matt DiBenedetto, will also make a one-off at Road America, and Toyota has swapped from the Camry to the Supra. Now, it's time to get into the season itself, and we will get to certain moments outside of the races as we follow along with the schedule. One other thing to point out as well, keep an eye out for a certain pattern that relies on the history of the series. Of course, first up is Daytona. I personally went to this race along with many of the other Daytona races and activities throughout the week, and let me just say, this one was a snooze fest. It didn't help that I was sick throughout the entire speed week, so yeah, that was a little unfortunate. Anyways, Tyler Reddick and Jeffrey Earnhardt, who was in the part-time number 18 JGR car, start on the front row, and although there's some early double file racing, both of the first 2 stages go caution-free. 2 close cautions at the beginning of the 3rd stage are for debris and a single car spin, but after that it's 37 straight laps of choo-choo train racing on the high line, and everyone waits until it's too late to make a move. Funny enough, out of all drivers to win, Michael Annett scores his first career Xfinity Series victory in a boring beginning to the season, and he secures his spot in the playoffs. Shout out to veteran Jeff Green for a solid 7th place finish. And no, I did not bother to rewatch the entire race, because like I said, I was already suffering from a sickness while nearly taking a nap in the grandstands back then, so that was enough punishment. But hey, at least the Daytona 500 put on a good show, am I right? Now, it's on to Atlanta, and this is where the fun truly begins. Cole Custer scores the pole, and it's a misty day in Atlanta, Georgia. Christopher Bell gets the best start from 3rd to 1st, and he dominates the first stage. Stage 2, another awful restart in the outside lane gives Bell the advantage. 2 races in a row, the first 2 stages go caution-free as Bell dominates again. However, Custer has managed to stay a decent distance away, so it's not entirely over yet. Again, the outside dies and Bell loses the lead to Tyler Reddick. It doesn't take long for Bell to get back to the front, and he remains there for the most part. Reddick remains close for a while, and during green flag pit stops, Noah Gragson leads a few laps. Bell and Reddick look ready for a late fight to the checkered, but a caution for a spin by John Hunter Nemechek changes things up. A 3-lap shootout seems like nothing for Bell at first, but Custer starts to catch up by the white flag. It would not be enough as Bell hung on for victory. Race 3 at Las Vegas. The first one for Kyle Busch, aka him versus the field. Rain canceled qualifying, so Custer and Chad Fincham, yes, Chad Fincham, are on the front row. Although he was pulled to the back at the start, so Gragson then proceeds to nearly spin on the outside. Joey Gase and Pinty Series driver Donald Teague get together in a hard crash on lap 2. Custer goes on to win the first stage. 7 laps into the second stage, Zane Smith and Austin Cindric get together. Kyle Busch is put back on the lead lap due to a problem earlier. Reddick wins the second stage over Bell and Busch. After 92 laps of the top JGR cars fighting for the lead, literally all hell breaks loose for the remainder of the race.
And we get a caution with 12 to go. And with only 6 cars on the lead lap, everybody's got a set of tires. I think we're going to see some pit stops here, fellas.
Oh, wreck, turn 3. Brandon Jones. Big wreck.
Green is still out, but the leaders are not going to get back to the start-finish line before we see the caution. We're going to go to overtime.
It's really strange because it happened all the way up over on a straightaway. It's almost like he hit something.
Yeah.
Coming off of turn 2.
I'm just glad he's out of that race car.
But that camera, you can just, hard of an impact that was. It's a great camera shot by the Fox
And
team.
I tell you what, there is no comparison to hitting a concrete wall on that safer barrier. It has changed the game in the safety of our sport. And
One back, all the way back. Stay up tight. Stay up tight. Now down off. Hook that line. Nice and easy. Don't overdrive it.
Reddick not letting him get away.
Oh, whoa!
Bell up top. And there goes Reddick spinning out. Kyle Busch coming back to the white flag. Caution is out. We will have a second overtime. Huge damage for Zane Smith and Austin Cindric. It's our 7th caution of the day.
Busch goes on to win as drivers such as John Hare Nemechek, Gregson, Austin Dillon, Michael Annett, and Ryan Sieg score solid finishes. Shout out to Ray Black Jr. in 11th. Race 4 at Phoenix. Busch's second race. Bell and Reddick on the front row. Bell pulls away with Busch riding behind for a while. Other than a Bailey Curry incident near the end of the first stage, Cindric stays in and wins the first stage, while Bell and Busch go on to be the top stage 2 finishers. As the third stage goes on, Busch turns into the dominant driver as Bell begins to fall back, and then with 71 laps remaining, Bell's run for the win is completely dashed.
Won last week at Las Vegas, and hey.
oh, and Allgaier's in the fence.
Try to get down as quick as you can and just stop. Just get down and stop.
That was Stephen Light that went up in smoke.
Keep rolling up here.
And I don't...
coming inside here. Inside. Just
Did
hold what you
Allgaier
got
get in
right there.
fluid, or did he just not see because of the smoke? I couldn't tell what happened there.
The 20's sitting down there as well.
Oh,
yeah,
Bell
the
with
20's
huge
destroyed.
damage.
Wow, that's a game changer.
Well, they were running second and third, right behind Light when he blew up.
Yeah, that was a massive blow up. I would say that's a failure of the oil pan to contain the internals.
A little desert domination as driver 18 gets his 11th win at Phoenix.
Good job, guys. Thank you. Good work.
Race 5 at Auto Club. Busch's third race. Reddick and him on the front row. Reddick pushes away for a little bit before Busch takes the lead and stays for a good time. Both of the first 2 stages go caution-free as Busch dominates, but the third stage does change things up a bit. As John Hare Nemechek wrecks hard while attempting to block Ryan Sieg, Reddick and Cindric both separately get into their own incidents, Ryan Preece goes for a spin, and during all of this, Kyle Busch dwindles from a shove another victory, and Cole Custer scores his first victory of the season as the crowd roars. These are the point standings after 5 races. Race 6 at Texas. Busch's 4th race, his final one until the summer. Bell and Brandon Jones on the front row. Once again, it's another case of Bell pulling away, but it doesn't take long for an incident to occur as Jeremy Clements goes around off turn 4. Bell wins the first stage. Almost all of the second stage is full of incidents, including a conflict between Brad Keselowski and Justin Allgaier, and a hard hit by Ray Black Jr., as Ryan Sieg and Ross Chastain steal the top spots. In the third stage, it's all Bell, Reddick, and Busch for most of it, but a couple of cautions, including one towards the end, changes the points up a bit.
Cleared him, and now Kyle Busch going after Christopher Bell for second. Trouble! It's the 19 of Brandon Jones, and the 00 of Cole Custer.
Hold it up there.
8th caution of the day.
Hold it up there. Coming under you. Coming under you. You okay?
I'm all good.
I've been noticing some gap. Caution.
And there's the caution.
Pit road, caution. Safe fuel, please. Safe fuel. Safe fuel hard. Let the pace car get you here.
You can see someone's heart break in there.
Oh, absolutely.
And as he comes off turn 4, he's going to get his 95th career win in the Xfinity Series. Kyle Busch does it at Texas.
Woo! Way to go, man. That's ballsy.
Race 7 at Bristol. Custer and Reddick on the front row, and it's mainly those two plus Allgaier going for in the first 2 stages. As Bell gets into the wall early, and Ross Chastain and Jeff Green get together, Jeremy Clements goes for a small spin, Justin Allgaier goes to the garage, and Harrison Burton gets in the wall. The final 32 laps are a showdown between Brandon Jones and Bell, as Bell manages to get by with under 20 laps to go to eventually score the win, while Jones gets in the wall and drops to 14th. Race 8 at Richmond, one that benefits 3 drivers in points and kills 1. Riley Herbst takes the number 18 car to the pole, but only leads the first lap. The rest of the way sees drivers such as Allgaier, Custer, and Bell fight for the lead, however 3 incidents in particular shake the points up as the night goes on.
Get the rain with 9 to go, and we might get a caution for this. The spin, there goes Bell, keeps it going in a straight line, no caution yet, there it is. Wow.
I would have to agree with you, Michael.
These guys are going to pit. Didn't have any tires, and cold scuff tires won't stick like new ones for sure.
Oh, there goes Gregson around.
Watch, hold your brake.
That was a great job of driving by those cars that were able to avoid
Easy on those
Gregson.
tires. He just took life out of those tires. Easy on those tires.
Once a crew chief, always a crew chief.
Man,
coach him up.
That's my last set. You got to take care of those tires.
Second win of the year, going to be his first at Richmond. He delivers on a Friday night under the lights.
Race 9 at Talladega. Daytona race winner Michael Annett on pole. The racing ends up proving much better than Daytona, as there are 16 lead changes and the average green flag run is only 8.8 laps. I'll let the highlights show everything for this one.
To get to the lead is key.
Trouble front straightaway as they come across the start-finish line. That's the 19 of Brandon Jones.
And this is where it gets interesting. Everyone coming to the line, everyone just bails on each other, trying to get every spot that's there, and their runs really die out. But those guys did a great job.
John Hunter Nemechek is up there, although he is a lap down. Back to the start-finish line. Noah Gragson wins stage 2.
I learned something every time. I go Noah Gragson through
Noah Gragson out of line, going to bring out the caution for the 5th time today. Looked like exactly what we saw from Brandon Jones early in the race, but unfortunately, the rookie from Las Vegas makes contact with the inside wall, and just like Jones at the time of the incident, he was riding in the 10th position.
And at that point, it's up to the bottom lane to try to slow up that top lane as best as possible.
Big crash. Annett out of line. Into Allgaier. Cole Custer into the wall. Sixth caution of the day.
And you just see so much, I call it jabbing each other. Everyone is taking every little gap that's there, and here comes a crash.
That's Earnhardt. Got into the 86 to the 51 of Jeremy Clements. Timmy Hill in that as well.
Justin Allgaier.
And that's a product of him getting caught in the first crash, not by his own doings. And it puts you in the back, and your chances of getting in another crash when you're in the back with 5 to go or 10 to go at Talladega is very high.
Bell getting aggressive. That red and yellow car is Gray Golding trying to pull a huge upset at Talladega. He's up to 2nd. Here comes Chase Briscoe in the 98. All of it behind the 2 of Tyler Reddick, who continues to block. Golding to the outside. Reddick goes high.
Keep him at your bumper. 08 is clear behind. Keep him at your bumper. Back down 1. Half back here. Next to our single file here. 3/4 back. Watch.
He went into the wall early. From wreck to victory lane. Tyler Reddick, a winner at Talladega.
I'm going to tell you guys what, Tyler Reddick and his spotter just did a phenomenal job. I mean, those are really, really aggressive moves.
Race 10 at Dover. Custer and Allgaier on the front row. It's more of a dominant show as Custer leads over 70% of the race, including 2 stage victories, but Bell takes it away within the final 45 laps, and he goes on to score his 3rd win of the season. Race 11 at Charlotte, with an all-driver broadcast booth. Unlike Dover, this race can't stay green for more than at least 13.1 laps on average, as there's incident after incident after incident, especially in the 3rd stage. There are also 15 lead changes and a ton of close racing. A lot of good drivers either finish poorly or get taken out, including Bell, Custer, Briscoe, and Austin Dillon. By the end, all that's left for the potential victory are Reddick and Allgaier, and Reddick is the lucky one at the end. Race 12 at Pocono. Once again, another race that goes after a bunch of top drivers. Jones eliminated early, Bell gets extremely lucky in a spin, Jeffrey Earnhardt and Austin Cindric get together, and chaos strikes at the end. Reddick seems as clear as day the winner, but a huge screw up in the final turn gives Custer the advantage.
Oh, he's sideways.
Reddick up the track.
He's got the move to the inside. Take it, Adam.
Custer to the inside of Reddick. He takes over the lead, and he's going to get the checkered flag. Cole Custer wins it at Pocono.
That was insane.
Race 13 in Michigan. More of a race that gave harm to the lower parts of the field. Paul Menard makes his first of 2 starts for Penske as he dominates early on, but the regular drivers return to the top later on, as Bell, Custer, and Reddick all take turns leading. Reddick rebounds from his Pocono mistake and scores his 3rd win of the season. We are now halfway through the regular season, as 13 races remain before the playoffs. I think it's fair to ask a good question at this point. Have you noticed a certain pattern so far? Like I said earlier in the video, you probably already know it, but if you don't, here it is. Only 3 of 13 races have been won by Cup drivers. Every other one has either been won by Reddick, Bell, Custer, or Annett. Yeah, you can probably say at this point that we already have the 3 top contenders for the championship set and just, but I mean, there's still a lot of races to go. To compare to the previous season, the first half of the regular season in 2018 saw 8 of 13 drivers be won by Cup drivers. That's what makes this year so unique for the Xfinity Series and somewhat of the Truck Series as well. This was the time of restrictions for the bushwhacking technique. Let's just say that it was pretty popular to finally witness full-time Xfinity drivers go all out against each other in close proximity, only this time for the win. Yeah, take that, Kyle Busch. Race 14 at Iowa. It's the Bell and Custer show in this one as the 2 exchange the lead throughout the day, with Bell hanging on for his 4th win of the season. Drivers such as Reddick and Ryan Sieg struggle, with one finishing only 15th and the other being unable to finish, respectively. Race 15 at Chicagoland. Instead of Custer and Bell in this one, it's Custer and Joey Logano, who makes his first start. Zane Smith and Michael Annett make a couple of appearances up front. Justin Allgaier has a poor day with a spin and a finish of 32nd. Stage 2 has a very intense finish, and Custer hangs on for his 4th win of the season. Christopher Bell would go under huge implications as his 3rd place result is disqualified, losing a ton of points. Race 16 back at Daytona. Like Talladega and completely unlike the first Daytona race, the average green flag run remains low. There are 18 lead changes, and there are many big crashes. Many good drivers have faced tragedy at some point during the race. A bunch of underdogs would come in handy, and Kaulig Racing found themselves in good hands. So we'll let the highlights do their job again.
He just gets loose. Looks like as he corrects, he climbs the bank, he collecting the 36. The 00 of Cole Custer gets squeezed and makes it through. Nowhere for the 22 to go. A little bit of damage on the nose of that car.
Yeah, Brandon Jones in a 19 car. Nothing he could do. He got some damage.
One of the 10.
Wow. That's just such an aggressive move. Your car gets really tight. Then behind it, they all get stacked up. Allgaier got in the back of the 8. And here they go through this wet grass.
But Ross Chastain is coming back into the tri-oval. He will win stage 1. Reddick.
Oh, Reddick was out of control going up the racetrack. Big hit. Watch that again. There was a lot of things going on there at once.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Reddick had a flat tire or just get out of line, but he loses control of his car. Look at this hit right here by Chase Briscoe.
Allmendinger to the high side. He blocks the 16. Coming to the stripe. A.J. Allmendinger will win stage 2.
Haley made a big move.
Didn't take long, and around goes the 1, and that into the wall hard. That's going to collect multiple cars behind him. Timmy Hill in the 66. Cole Custer in the 00.
Red, white, and blue, number 1, second in line on the top. Gets basically the same situation we've seen. He catches the 2 of Tyler Reddick. It stops his momentum. Christopher Bell's behind him. He doesn't know, can't do anything about it. Just hits the 1 so hard, it spins the 1 out at the front of the field.
And Jeff, he was given specific instructions from his spotter, Kevin. Oh, trouble for Justin Allgaier.
Allgaier around. Car was trying to come on the inside. Allgaier spins, and he stays going straight. They stay green. Coming up on 8 laps to go. Reddick once again fighting to get back up front. Matt Kaulig wanted this very scenario to win a race. How about win at Daytona? Ross Chastain will win.
Race 17 at Kentucky. Pretty much back to normal for the top drivers now, as it's the Reddick Custer Bell show, although many other drivers take a shot at the lead throughout the day. For Kentucky, it was a pretty good race, and Custer came out on top. Perhaps this was a foreshadow for what would happen in the Cup race at Kentucky the next year. Race 18 in New Hampshire. Straight up dominated by Bell, as neither Reddick or Custer could deny him. Brandon Jones would get a few attempts, but even he couldn't stop Bell's pure skill of the track. Paul Menard would make his second and final start, finishing 5th. John Hart Nemechek had quite a crash, and although you can barely see with the smoke on the NBC replay angle, he did indeed get some air based on some rare photos. Race 19, back at Iowa. Unlike the first race, the second time around ends up being a hell of a lot more chaotic. Christopher Bell pretty much dominated the whole race, leading 234 of 250 laps, as a couple of good drivers got into incidents throughout the day, including Custer, Gregson, Cindric, and Annette. And of course, we can't forget the infamous pit road entry incident involving Dylan Bassett.
How about that? Maybe somebody does have something left.
Well, they've got fresher tires, for sure.
This would
Little
appear to be
incident there.
That was Dylan Bassett coming to pit road. I believe he's caught the sweeper truck.
Bell seemed all clear to score back-to-back victories, but within the final 10 laps, a rookie came knocking on the door with a shockingly good pace. None other than Chase Briscoe would put on a show, stealing the lead away with 6 laps to go and going on to score his second career victory. Race 20 at Watkins Glen. Multiple Cup drivers would enter this one, including Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney, with an appearance from AJ Allmendinger as well. Funny enough, only one would last at the end, somewhat, as Busch was done by lap 34 due to a suspension problem, and Allmendinger would come close to victory, but he would be disqualified again. Blaney hung on for 4th. Cole Custer had a big crash in practice, and this wouldn't be his race, although he did finish 7th. It was mainly a clash between Bell, Allmendinger, Allgaier, and Cindric, despite the fact that Allgaier got himself caught up in a conflict with Ross Chastain, and you have to admit it, he did manage a pretty good payback. On a restart with 10 laps remaining, all hell broke loose in the first turn. Many of the leaders opted to pit for new tires, and the final 7 laps were quite the show, as Christopher Bell made an incredible save, and the final 2 laps put on a phenomenal show between the youngster Cindric and the veteran Allmendinger.
As he works his way into 1, now it's still just feet. As he looks to the inside, trying to take the lead away as they go into 2.
Allmendinger tries to throw the block into 2, and Cindric will force the issue. But it's Dinger strong in the outside. He'll keep Cindric in the rearview mirror. These two battling for the win. Here's Cindric. He'll look outside. He'll look inside. He's giving AJ Allmendinger the business into turn 4.
Cindric is definitely close enough to make a move here, and there's the block. Allmendinger makes it impossible for him to go the inside. Allmendinger getting all kinds of pressure here as they exit into the carousel. He gives him the bumper. Cindric on his bumper pushes him up out of the groove, making the pass. He's going to clear. He's going to take the lead now. What will Allmendinger do on corner exit?
Did he move him far enough away? He used the bumper. They gave permission for Allmendinger. Allmendinger right on his rear bumper. Will he use his front bumper in 6? Little bit of contact, pushing him. Moon drives him in the corner deep, drives underneath him. Gonna move past Cindric. Can Cindric stay close enough to him to return the favor?
Whoever has the last attempt at the bumper is going to win this one. Now, he moves to the inside. The white flag is out, side by side. Cindric out in front again. Austin Cindric looking for his first ever win in the Xfinity Series. 1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. Ryan Wilson, the crew chief, made the call, brought him to pit road for fresher tires. The 20-year-old makes the final turn. He comes in front of the grandstands. He'll get his first Xfinity Series win. Austin Cindric does it at the Glen.
Race 21 in Mid-Ohio. Cindric carries his momentum from the Glen into this race, and he puts on a terrific show as he has to fight against Bell, Briscoe, road racing driver Jack Hawksworth, and part-time veteran Regan Smith. A couple incidents screw over drivers such as Custer, Allgaier, and Gregson, but none of them can deny Cindric as he goes on to score back-to-back victories. Race 22, back at Bristol. One of the craziest races of the season that many did not expect to turn out the way it did. 3 Cup drivers are entered, including Busch, Logano, and Eric Jones. Along with all this, a driver by the name of Bailey Curry has been suspended for violating the substance abuse policy, with Kyle Weatherman taking over for the time being. Curry would return in mid-September. Cindric and Busch are on the front row, and the racing gets wild right from the beginning. On lap 37, however, it's absolute haywire as a lap car puts Custer into the wall, and it's an accordion effect from there.
For the top 5 car. Oh! The double arrow into the fence.
Cole Custer. He catches the 20 of Christopher Bell. They spin, the caution comes out. Big contact now behind him.
I think that's the 81. Eric Jones, heavy, Joey Logano.
With many good drivers now either out or with damage, it was going to be Busch versus the field once again, at least at first. As the first stage dwindled down, it looked to either be Reddick or Allgaier for the green checker flag, until 4 laps remaining.
Oh! He catches the 7. Here comes the 19. Tyler goes around. Caution
The second stage wouldn't see a whole lot of action up front as Busch went on to win the stage, but he wouldn't be able to last after taking the flag as his engine blew up, and of course, his eventual interview would do wonders in the meme world.
What happened with the initial contact with the wall, Kyle?
Just rubber on top of rubber, the rubber buildup that was happening. I just got in the corner a little too hot and just got up into the fence a little bit. And then, I don't know, 2-3 laps later, it blew out.
And for these guys, it was actually a broken A-arm that had them in the evening from there.
Most of the final stage remained green, and it was going to be a barn burner between Reddick and Allgaier until the end. On a restart with 14 laps remaining, Reddick was able to be the winner of the battle, but behind him was where things really took shape.
They're fighting for position. Brandon Jones with an amazing move down the middle. He takes second away.
12 to go, 12 to go. Oh, Brandon Jones in the wall.
Jones goes into the wall and right by him. Briscoe and Reddick. Now Allgaier with a 6/10 of a second lead. Reddick out front. He's got Chase Briscoe behind him. Allgaier was into the wall.
Almost the same look as Brandon
absolutely.
Jones. I know who wants caution right now. John Hunter Nemechek, because with those tires, he is running down Austin Cindric.
And now he's battled all the way up to the front. Tyler Reddick is going to win at Bristol.
Race 23 at Road America. Including this one, 4 races remain until the playoffs, and the playoff grid seems fairly set at this point. But the potential for an underdog upset win was still there and entirely available. Allmendinger scored the pole, and Matt DiBenedetto would be making a one-off start. It was all Allmendinger at the beginning, and Allgaier had an extremely close call at the end of stage 1, and Custer had himself a close call at the beginning of stage 2. DiBenedetto would lead 18 to 45 laps and he looked solid mid-race, but unfortunately, it wasn't going to be his day, as a potential second place finish was dashed with a spin in the final corner. Briscoe scored the stage 2 victory, but wouldn't have the pace to win, as Bell led the final 9 laps en route to victory. Race 24 at Darlington. It would be a one-off for both Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Denny Hamlin, as Blaney and Bell sat on the front row. Problems would plague drivers such as Nemechek, Gregson, and Brendan Brown. All day, it was a fight between Blaney and Reddick, but on a late restart, it was going to instead be Hamlin and Custer going for it. The two would remain close the entire time, and constant dives by Custer wouldn't work, as Hamlin went on to take the checkered flag first. Until he was disqualified afterwards and Custer was handed the win. Race 25 in Indianapolis. 2 races remaining until the playoffs. For a race at Indy, this one was actually pretty solid, as Busch looked to be the top driver throughout the early parts of the race, as he led just over half of the first 2 stages combined. Surprisingly, he didn't win either stage, as both were won by Brandon Jones and Allgaier. In the 3rd stage, his car just couldn't catch leading pace, and Allgaier appeared to be the top contender for the win. However, within the final 20 laps, the race turned into literal craziness.
Reddick in the impossible spot as one car is in trouble in turn number 1. It's John Hunter Nemechek. The car will break loose. He'll slide up, make contact with the outside wall. Everybody takes evasive maneuvers to avoid a spinning John Hunter Nemechek, who crashes into the safer barrier in turn 1.
Of Christopher Bell, he puts the hand out the window to let him know he's ready to go. And right away they lock bumpers. On the outside, the 7 has already got into the back of the 2. They're side by side as they go to 1.
Here comes Reddick around the outside, getting a great shove from Justin Allgaier. Bell got one from Busch, but it's going to be Reddick that'll get the fender out in front. Side by side into 2. They make contact. Reddick and Bell hard into the outside wall. Everybody races to their inside, and just a sledgehammer shot into the safer barrier as the front 2 crash with 8 laps to go in the brickyard.
Sorry. They are connected to the 20 wiggles. I don't think really Reddick did anything wrong, nor did Christopher Bell. That was actually into turn 2. He tries to get on the door of the 20, which is, I think, what Reddick has to do. That's how you win the race.
Run. Can he apply enough pressure on the exit of turn 1?
1 lap to go. Kyle Busch trying to get to win number 100. He's going to make 96 if he gets back to the Brickyard first here in Indy.
For the final time into turn 1, here's Allgaier waiting to see if he has enough to make the move. So far in 1-0. So far in 2-0. Can he draw up off the corner? Here for the final time, Allgaier almost makes contact with the wall.
There was a slight wiggle on the 18 car there. Kyle Busch just couldn't open the door. He's not quite close enough. He might have the run here, but he doesn't have the momentum to make that move into 3. There was a slight bit of window open, and it just wasn't big enough for Justin Allgaier.
Allgaier's going to make a big arc into turn 4, trying to get to the bottom a little bit sooner. Hope the 18 wiggles. The 18's not going to make a mistake. Kyle Busch ends it at checkered.
Kyle Busch in front of the 7. Kyle Busch is going to win again at the Brickyard.
Take me down. Awesome combo.
Race 26 at Las Vegas, the regular season finale. Not much would happen incident-wise, but the race was quite a battle between Bell and Allgaier. Things would change up with late green flag pit stops as Reddick figured things out and stole the lead, scoring his 5th victory of the season. The playoff grid was set and everyone was ready for what looked to be a competitive run to the championship finale. Round 1, beginning with a return to Richmond. Cindric and Allgaier on the front row. Not a whole lot happened in this one. Bell would find his way to the front and basically steal the show, securing a spot in the second round. Next up, a return to Charlotte, except this time on the Roval. Right off the bat, you'll assume chaos. And you'd be correct. Briscoe and Reddick on the front row. Briscoe pulls away and dominates the first stage, while Reddick immediately misses the backstretch chicane on lap 1. Stage 2 goes caution free, and this time it's Bell that dominates, except for the final 4 laps, as Custer would instead take the stage. The third stage is when all hell broke loose, as there were 4 incidents, which did involve playoff drivers, with 2 in particular being screwed over, and AJ Allmendinger stole the show.
7 may have gotten in the back of the 8 car there, Harrison as well, but doesn't take much. It's so slick. They're already off track in the dirty part of the racetrack. Just a little bit or a little nudge there. He'll be able to do something. He's going to the outside, which now is the inside for the chicane. Oh, there's no contact. And the 20 missed.
Christopher has to stop. He's not stopping, and he missed the chicane.
Well, then he'll be informed by NASCAR. It's going to be a pass-through for the 20. 98 forced him there, but NASCAR said they don't care why you missed the chicane as they continue to race. Oh, maybe that's why he didn't stop. Maybe he wanted to go right.
Keep coming, keep digging.
And payback. So Briscoe goes around. Caution.
Laps go gravity crumbs. Oh, contact there.
Harrison Burton got into the side.
33 cars around.
Of the 43, and Preston Pardus is around. We also see the 93 Josh Malicki has turned sideways. Gets through the final chicane, and he'll win at the Charlotte Roval.
The first round finale back at Dover. Briscoe and Cindric on the front row, and it didn't take long for chaos to strike, as young gun Harrison Burton went around and Brandon Jones was collected, basically eliminating him from the playoffs. Reddick and Gregson also got sort of involved, but separately. Not too long after, John Hurt and Nemechek wrecked, eliminating him from the playoffs as well. The remainder of the way, not a whole lot happened, at least at first. But then Custer found some speed. The final 20 laps saw the competition come together a little more, as a single car spin and a multi-car incident were the factors in a somewhat close finish, and Christopher Bell got lucky enough to have won earlier in the round. Eliminated were Nemechek, Jones, Justin Haley, and Ryan Sieg. Round 2, beginning at Kansas. 8 drivers, only 4 make it. Arguably the craziest race of that year's playoffs. Bell and Jones on the front row. Bell pulls away immediately, Jones falls back. Bell goes on to win the first stage while Gregson and Custer fight back and forth for second place. After taking the lead away with some contact, Custer led for a little bit until an incident created trouble for Austin Cindric. Custer went on to win stage 2, and after about 49 straight green flag laps, the remainder of the final stage was straight up the definition of what can happen in the playoffs.
Reddick's going to come, but Tyler's the only one, and caution is coming out, and if it came out right before he got to the line on pit road, it's going to be closed.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the ruling is right here. Where is the leader? They'd be better off to go ahead and do their pit stop right here. No, don't. Oh, they should have stopped.
That push shoved Christopher Bell right up into second place.
Oh, we got trouble right here.
Way out of line is the 00 of Cole Custer. He tries to come back up. Yeah, hit hard by Justin Haley in the 11.
Wow.
Trying to take away that top spot.
Junior, I think that not.
Trying to take away that top spot.
Junior, I think that not.
Contact! They both hit! Bell slams into the Briscoe, and now Bell across the grass. The 98 was sliding all the way up the racetrack. Cole Custer has the lead. Reddick slides up and maybe make a little contact in the wall.
Oh, look at the one car. All that stuff you'd like to see parted for him. In the middle.
Custer was all the way up against the wall. Now he's dropping back. 3 wide per second. Here comes Justin Haley in the 11.
Oh, if that one car could clear, he's got to find a way to get through here.
Caution's come out. Another restart.
That couldn't have gone better for the one car. There were moments that we needed him to pass guys, but now he'll get another shot at a restart. 2 rows closer to the front.
How tight will it be? Brandon Jones trying to get his first win ever in the Xfinity Series. Reddick up high. He's going to have momentum as he comes out of 4. Does he have enough time? Reddick tags the wall. It's going to be Brandon Jones winning in Kansas.
Awesome job today, buddy. Awesome job.
For a couple of years now, and I cannot believe we just pulled this off today. It's all because of those guys down there. So thank you to everybody. Flo just came on board. New sponsor.
All the work that goes into it. A young man getting his first career win, Kansas Speedway race fans.
And while the celebration is going on, guys to the ground. That's Cole Custer getting back up now. But a fight going on down there, Dave.
See these drivers. These races mean so much to them.
It's kind of funny to think that Brandon Jones will be in the final 4 had he not been eliminated in the prior round. Next up is a return to Texas. Almost just like Kansas, it was a race of chaos, as at least 3 playoff drivers went through some form of trouble, and towards the end, one driver in particular was extremely lucky to be decently high in points.
That high line, even through 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Green and white checkered flag, and that will be a stage win for Christopher Bell. Stages and go on to win. He's done it 3 times. Could it be a 4th tonight? He'll win stage 2 at Texas. Right rear.
He reported a vibration, guys, and said a car is getting looser and looser. They told him, bring it to us if you can. But, Steve, he was outside the pit window for the last pits, right? At about 75 to go. You can't make it that far, so he didn't want to bring it, and now he is the caution.
Put on Cole Custer.
Oh, round goes to 9. Noah Gragson got tapped.
Yellow, yellow.
Heavy into the grass. Caution comes out. He slides back up in front.
So right there, Reddick just in the wall again with the right rear quarter panel.
Not a lot of contact here, Steve.
No, not much damage at all, but live you have Reddick almost spinning.
And Reddick does spin into the inside wall hard. And the caution is out again.
You saw it. You mentioned it, Jeff. They couldn't get away from one another.
This will be his 16th win. And Christopher Bell has locked up a spot in the championship 4 with this win.
Thank you, guys.
The finale before the championship finale, at Phoenix. To clarify, this is the last Xfinity Homestead finale before the swap to Phoenix, so you can add that to some intriguing storylines for this season. Surprisingly, this race wasn't anything like Kansas or Texas, although tensions were definitely high. Christopher Bell had already advanced with his Texas win, and Cole Custer was secured with enough points, so it was a matter of keeping the car clean and taking the checker for Justin Allgaier and Tyler Reddick. It would have to be a win for Briscoe, Annett, Cindric, or Gragson, and none of them would earn it, as Allgaier led the final 66 laps en route to his first victory of the season. Now, it was time to crown a champion. Well, we're here, the championship finale at Homestead, Miami. 4 drivers, all equally with a shot to win the championship. For some statistics, 3 of the 4 have been in the Final 4 in 2018, as Reddick stole the show in what was a resurgence after an inconsistent regular season. This season was a complete turnaround as he was the most consistent driver all year, with an average finish of 6.3 in comparison to last year's 12.9. Custer came just short the prior year with a crazy win at the Texas playoff race. Bell had gone on a tear as a rookie with 7 wins and momentum from the second to last race, but he only finished 11th in the finale. This year, it looks to be a bit similar for him, only this time, will he win it? The new driver happens to be Allgaier, who fell to inconsistency in the playoffs last year, but now is arguably the best playoff consistency out of any driver. Reddick and Custer sit on the front row, and Reddick pulls away for 33 laps. A series of cautions in the first stage causes the lead to flip to drivers such as Bell, Gragson, and Briscoe, with the latter winning it. Reddick and Custer are the top Final 4 drivers so far. Stage 2, Bell becomes the top driver as Austin Cindric leads the race. He would dominate the entire stage, and during this time, Custer fell into trouble due to an unscheduled pit stop, putting him a lap down. By the final lap, he had the opportunity to unlap himself by passing Cindric, and after the white flag, he was able to get by Cindric just before a caution was displayed due to an incident, putting him back in the realm of possibility. third and final stage of the race and the season, Noah Gragson takes the race lead off the restart as Bell and Reddick fight for the championship spot, with Custer and Allgaier not too far behind. Not too long after, Chase Briscoe would get into the wall, causing the final caution of the race. The remainder of the race would go caution-free, therefore 73 laps to fight for a championship. Right off the bat, it's Bell versus Reddick, while Custer remains at the back of the top 5 and Allgaier is stuck between the top 5 and the top 10. With under 50 laps remaining, all three of the top drivers are in close proximity. After a few laps of battling, Reddick takes the lead for good, while Bell falls back and Custer takes second. A few laps later, tragedy would almost strike for Bell while attempting an early pit strategy.
That's what happened last year. Jason Ratcliffe was in this spot and gained 2 seconds by pitting a lap earlier than everybody else. And here he comes down pit road now. Christopher Bell coming down pit road. He missed pit road. Oh no, Christopher Bell missed pit road, running third. He was trying to get to pit road and he missed it.
Surprisingly enough, Bell was able to recover and he remained with the other final 4 drivers, as at one point while he was in front of them, the other 3 had a series of 3 wide battles. Austin Cindric would fall back from the lead, and it was once again a Bell-Reddick-Custer battle for the win and the title. Unfortunately for Allgaier, he wouldn't be able to salvage anything else after losing momentum from the prior battles and collecting a flat tire, finishing 14th and calling his season over. The same would go for Bell, as by the final 20 laps, he was over 7 seconds behind and his title hopes were in the drain. Now, it was going to be the defending champion versus the prior runner-up. At one point, Custer attempted the slide job, but it wouldn't work, and a short time later, a wall hit pretty much sealed the deal as Reddick pulled away with a distance of nearly 2 seconds, and history was going to be made for the first time since 2012, only this time with different teams.
A 1.8 second lead.
Give me one more nice smooth lap here. He'll be a 2-time championship by 15 to 00.
1 lap to go. Tyler Reddick for the final time down the backstretch. The gap between Reddick and Custer, 1.4 seconds. That's the difference between a championship and running runner-up. It's taken a win every year to win the title. And now Tyler Reddick, he's going to join the greats of the Xfinity Series. Tyler Reddick has won again at Homestead.
Brando, Danny, all you guys. Oh my God.
That great racing here.
There you go. You're the Xfinity Series champion again, Tyler. Boy, you put a stamp on it this year, didn't you? Did you come in here?
Well, that's pretty much it. One of the greatest seasons in NASCAR lower tier history, and one of, if not the best, of the 2010s. To cap off the decade, it was a very good campaign, and the storylines that went on both before and during the season were just crazy. To conclude, out of all 12 of those playoff drivers, 6 are now full-time in the Cup Series, and 5 of them have won a race. 4 still remain full-time in Xfinity, 1 called it quits after 2021, and another is now in the Truck Series competing for a championship. Can't forget some other drivers, including Brendan Brown, who won a race in 2021 and now is a competitive underdog in Xfinity, Zane Smith, who is now a championship contender in Trucks, Ross Chastain, who is now full-time in Cup, and Landon Castle, who now drives for the now elite Kaulig Racing in Xfinity. Overall, it's not just the season itself that made history and was absolutely spectacular as a whole, but it's also about those who graduate to the top level of the sport, and the fact that only 4 of the 33 races were won by Cup Series drivers, which is staggering considering the series history of Buschwackers. Like 2019, the Xfinity Series continues to have races where it's mainly about their full-time drivers. Sometimes Cup drivers do join in for a couple of challenges, some truck drivers as well, but not near as much as the infamous 2000s, and absolutely none are allowed to participate in playoff races. That's just how great things have gotten. We may never see Kyle Busch continue to dominate over the field ever again in this tier, but you have to admit, he was damn good at it. And hell, he was actually challenged many times, especially during 2019. Just goes to show that there truly is winning parity down in the lower tiers of NASCAR, and that although there may already be a ton of appreciation for this one series, it deserves to be recognized each and every day in NASCAR history. So anyways, that's going to do it for this one. Got any thoughts? Leave them in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and give this a thumbs up. My name's Reegser, or Reegs for short, and thanks for watching. Have a good one.